Hi, Miss Day in class. Today I would like to talk about my Investopedia project and about how important the simulation of the stock market was for me in case I do any future investments. I would like to talk about all of my gains, so my biggest stock gains to date and the strategies I used to get it, my biggest stock losses, and how those two are interconnected and why I lost and I did gain a lot for the exact same reason. I would like to talk about the impacts that different current events had on my stock portfolio and still do. I would like to talk about potential predictions if I were to continue the simulation and the portfolio. And I would like to talk about the different strategies I learned from this simulation and what I'm going to take and use in case I do make any future investments. So first let's start off with my biggest stock gains. So my biggest stock gain was for BNTX, or BioNTech SE, and it's a pharmaceutical company related to the treatment of cancer. I used my buy and hold strategy, and this happened closer to the end of the simulation. So the share price had been rising as of lately, and I decided as more and more people were buying said stock, I would sell the stock that I had already had for, I guess, a few days now. I think it was about 3 or 4 days, and this resulted in me making my only decently okay gain, or semi-large gain, throughout the entire experiment. And this was due to me realizing really how to play in the only last week of the game. So I made about $15.76. Which isn't much, but compared to some of my losses and compared to how frequently I lost money, it was enough for me. So next up is my biggest stock losses. So my biggest stock loss was AMGN, or Amgen Inc., and this happened about midway through the simulation. Amgen Inc. is a biotech company engaging in the discovery of human therapeutics. Now, I attempted a buy and hold strategy, and I lost because I had been neglecting my stocks at the time, and I somewhat forgot to check exactly how the company had been doing as of late. When I bought the stock, I saw that many people in the class had also been investing in it, so I decided to do the same, as I wanted to copy the people that were more successful. Yet, instead of selling it when less people were selling it, I decided to sell it when more people were selling it instead of selling it when more people were buying it, and it was because I was careless, and due to that I lost about $23.64, which isn't a lot, but throughout the experiment I did lose a lot of money multiple times. So that was my biggest loss in one sitting at a time. So current events have affected my stock portfolio in, I think, a very good way. So I explained before how in BioNTech SE I made around $15-ish, and that was my biggest gain in one sitting. And I think it was one of my only big gains, really. So that happened at the end of the experiment, and that's why it's shown on my portfolio, as well as for 51jobs.inc. At the moment, both companies are rising in popularity, and more people are buying and selling their shares. And that is why, at the moment, I have gained a profit, a total gain of about $355.40 in BioNTech.se. For today's change, I gained around $40.20, and that's really good. And for 51 jobs, I gained about $75. So potential predictions for myself if I were to continue playing the game for about maybe 2-ish, 3-ish weeks. Now, I believe that I would gain much more money to a greater understanding of exactly how to use stocks and how to trade. I only really understood how to play the game close to the end of the simulation, which really kind of doomed me from the start. I should have done more research. I should have looked through all of the PowerPoint slides, but I did not, which ended up making me a careless trader. I believe that the only good strategy was that of buy and hold, and it failed me countless times because I didn't even use it efficiently. I would look for other strategies, such as day trading, to use. I also believe that I would begin to sell shorts, as that's something that I became quickly interested in closer to the end of my simulation. And if I were to continue doing it, I think that the concept of gambling a little can, whilst it is risky and you could lose a lot of money, the chance at making a massive profit really means a lot in terms of somebody that is buying and trading stocks. Potential predictions for the market. Now, I believe that 2021 will be a bull market, which means that the market will be on a rise, economic conditions will improve. And look, due to the extreme conditions of the pandemic, businesses everywhere have had to close their doors and have had to change their methods of operation. Um, and that's really been hard for businesses that can't set up things online. They've struggled. Some restaurants can't provide takeout. Certain fancier restaurants have majorly just lost a ton of money because people really just go there for the experience, not just the food. As 2020 was definitely a bear market where the economy was receding and stocks were losing value, I believe that with the reopening of several establishments, more and more people will be able to profit off of the many different stocks in 2021. At least that's what I'm hoping for, and if things continue, then I get the feeling that we're just going to be set up for worse and worse in the future. So, future strategies that I would implement if I were to run a company of my own. Now, I don't think I'd be able to choose from just one strategy because that's not how trading works. Different strategies are used by different people for different reasons to achieve different things. Buy and hold strategies are for people who are patient, willing to play the long game, waiting until their shares become popular again so that they could sell it at a high price, to active buyers. Active trading strategy, day trading for people who want to buy and trade in the same day, who are aren't going to be risking a lack of decline in popularity or a lack of buyers in a certain company at the time. And short selling are for people who are willing to gamble and take risks, hoping that security prices will decline, risking massive losses in order to potentially gain a huge revenue. Thank you for listening. Sorry if I stuttered a lot, my throat kind of hurts, and I hope that you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.